They told her it was age. Her doctor said it at 66. Again at 68. 3 different reports. 5 years. Fatigue, consistent with aging. Joint pain, consistent with aging. Low mood, consistent with aging. She believed them. Why wouldn't she? She was 68. She had lived hard, worked hard, loved hard. Maybe this was just what the other side of all that living felt like, but here is what her doctor never checked. Here is what millions of appointments, every single year, fail to investigate. There is one deficiency, so common in adults over 65 that its symptoms have been quietly relabeled as normal aging. Written off, dismissed, left untreated in people who could reverse every single one of them in 8 weeks, with something that costs almost nothing. And today, I am numbing it. I will show you exactly how to recognize it in your own body. And I will give you 3 specific foods that replenish it faster than anything the pharmacy is currently selling you. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you will never look at the last few years of your life the same way again. Let's start with something uncomfortable. The word aging has become a diagnosis, not a process, not a chapter. A diagnosis. You describe your symptoms. The doctor nods. And somewhere in that conversation, the word aging lands, like a door closing. As if the body past 60 is something you manage, not something you improve. That belief, that quiet, accepted, cultural belief, is one of the most costly medical assumptions of our time. Because here is what research confirms. A significant majority of adults over 65, some studies place it above 80%, are deficient in one specific nutrient. Not marginally low, clinically deficient. And the symptoms of that deficiency overlap so precisely with what we call normal aging, that without one specific blood test, ordered specifically, it is almost impossible to tell the difference. Think about that. The fatigue you have normalized could be a deficiency. The muscle weakness your doctor called age-related could be a deficiency. The low mood that arrived in your 60s and never fully left could be a deficiency. The slow healing, the infections that linger, the brain fog, the words that float just out of reach. All of it, every single symptom listed in clinical literature as a direct consequence of this one deficiency. And the standard annual blood panel for most people over 65 does not test for it, unless you specifically ask. That flower is you. And what I am about to tell you is the water it has been waiting for. The deficiency is vitamin D3, not vitamin D in the general sense. D3 specifically, the active form. The form your skin produces in direct sunlight. The form that declines so dramatically after 60 that researchers at Harvard Medical School have described it as a near-universal crisis in older adults, that the medical community has been extraordinarily slow to address. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Vitamin D. That's it, asterisk, stay with me, because what most people know about vitamin D is the headline, the poster in the waiting room. Good for bones. What they have not been told is this. Vitamin D3 is not a vitamin in the traditional sense. It is a steroid hormone precursor. It operates on over 2,000 genes in the human body. It regulates immunity, muscle contraction, heart health, neurological signaling, mood chemistry, and the inflammatory response that underlies nearly every chronic disease associated with aging. When it is depleted, the body does not send one clear signal. It sends dozens, quiet, easy to dismiss, accumulated over years. Each one gets attributed, separately, to aging. After 60, your skin's ability to synthesize D3 from sunlight drops by 75%. After 70, it drops further. Most people over 65 spend less time outdoors. Many live where sunlight is limited for months. Many wear sunscreen, which, while protective against skin damage, reduces D3 synthesis by over 95%. The result: a generation of older adults walking in chronic hormonal depletion, being told their symptoms are inevitable, being handed medications that manage the consequences, while the cause goes completely unaddressed. Before I go further, I need to tell you about something. I have compiled a book. It is called The 50 Forgotten Remedies the Modern World Wants You to Ignore. contains the most clinically supported, historically validated natural interventions that have been quietly pushed aside by a medical culture that profits more from managing disease than from ending it. Remedies your grandparents knew. That ancient healing tradition was documented for centuries. That modern research is now, quietly, confirming we're right all along. Vitamin D3 is one piece of that picture, but there are 49 more waiting for you in that book. The link is in the description below this video. If this video is already speaking to you, that book was written for you. Now, let's talk about what this depletion actually looks like inside your body. I am going to describe 8 symptoms. As I name each one, count how many apply to you or to someone you love. This is not a scare tactic. This is a starting point. 1. You are tired, not end of day tired. Tired is a default setting. You wake up tired. You move through the morning tired. Sleep does not fully restore you. Your muscles ache, particularly your legs, lower back, and hips. Your doctor tested, found nothing dramatic, called it arthritis, called it wear. 3. Your mood. There is a flatness to it that was not always there. Not grief, not clinical depression necessarily, just gray, a reduced capacity for joy that arrived gradually and became your new normal. 4. You get sick more often, or when you do get sick, it lingers. The recovery that once took 3 days now takes 10. 5. Your bones, density declining. Your doctor said it was expected. What your doctor did not say, vitamin D3 is as critical to calcium absorption as calcium itself. Supplementing calcium without D3 is like building a wall without mortar. Gain around the midsection. No significant change in eating. Vitamin D3 deficiency directly upregulates fat storage hormones and downregulates metabolism in older adults. 7. Your mind. Words that came easily now float. You walk into a room and the reason arrives late. The sharpness you trusted feels like it is working through fog. 8. Chronic low-level pain. Named fibromyalgia, neuropathy, generalized inflammation, but never connected to a root cause that is actually addressable if you counted 3 or more. This video is for you. If you counted 5 or more, please share this before it ends. Because someone in your life is counting 6 or 7 right now, and calling it aging now, I have to tell you something that is going to make you uncomfortable. This is not an oversight. The link between vitamin D3 depletion and every symptom I just described has been documented in peer-reviewed medical literature since the 1990s. A landmark study in the New England Journal of Medicine identified D3 deficiency as a primary cause of unexplained muscle weakness and bone pain in older adults. A 2011 meta-analysis of 164 studies confirmed its role in immune failure, cardiovascular disease, and cognitive decline. The research is not new, the research is not obscure, and yet, the standard annual physical examination for adults over 65 does not include a vitamin D3 test, unless you specifically request one. In the United Kingdom, routine vitamin D testing was actually deprioritized in national guidelines in 2019. Why? Because vitamin D3, obtained from sunlight and food, cannot be patented. Because the treatment, sunlight, dietary change, an inexpensive supplement, generates almost no revenue for the healthcare system. Because a population that understands and corrects its own D3 levels is a population with less inflammation, stronger bones, better immunity, better mood, and less need for the long list of medications that currently manage those downstream consequences at enormous profit. I am not asking you to be angry. Anger does not heal anything. I am asking you to be informed, because information, the right information without agenda, is the thing they have always been slowest to give you for free now. Here is what you can do starting today: 3 foods and 1 practice. Each one backed by clinical research. Each one is accessible. Each one is specific. This is not general wellness advice. This is a protocol. Food 1. Wild-caught fatty fish, wild-caught salmon, mackerel, sardines, herring. Among the only foods on Earth that contain meaningful concentrations of naturally occurring D3, in a form the aging body can actually absorb. One 6-ounce serving of wild-caught sockeye salmon delivers between 800 and 1,000 international units of D3 that meets or exceeds the minimum recommended daily intake for adults over 70 in a single meal. The key word is wild-caught. Farm-raised salmon has dramatically lower D3 content, and its omega-6 to omega-3 ratio is reversed, creating inflammation instead of fighting it. 2 to 3 servings per week, baked or poached, gentle heat, paired with a small amount of healthy fat which maximizes D3 absorption. This is not a supplement, this is food. Food 2, pasture-raised egg yolks. The egg yolk debate has lasted 40 years, and it has caused incalculable harm. Millions of older adults removed egg yolks from their diet on the advice of guidelines that have since been substantially revised, and in doing so, removed one of the most concentrated sources of D3, choline, and fat-soluble vitamins available in a whole food. The yolk of a pasture-raised egg contains between 40 and 80 IU of D3 per yolk, along with the fat matrix required for its absorption, the choline required for neurological function, and a form of cholesterol the body uses directly as a D3 precursor, 2 to 3 whole eggs daily, from pasture-raised hens where possible, soft, lightly cooked, preserving the fat-soluble nutrients in the yolk. I have a patient, I will call her Miriam, 74, originally from the Caribbean. Egg yolks had been a daily staple in her family for generations, until a well-meaning relative suggested she stop for her heart. She had been yolk-free for 6 years when we spoke. Her D3 levels were catastrophically low. Her fatigue was profound. Her balance had declined significantly. Within 10 weeks of returning 2 whole eggs to her morning routine, her energy had shifted so dramatically she described it as waking up after a very long sleep. That is not a coincidence. That is biochemistry. Food 3, UV-exposed mushrooms. This one surprises almost everyone. Mushrooms are one of the only plant sources of vitamin D, but with one critical condition almost nobody knows. The mushrooms must have been exposed to ultraviolet light to convert their plant compounds into a form of D the body can use. Commercially grown mushrooms raised in complete darkness contain almost no vitamin D. The packaging does not tell you this. But here is the intervention that costs absolutely nothing. Take any mushroom, including the standard button mushroom from your grocery store. Place it gill side up in direct sunlight for 15 to 20 minutes. The conversion occurs. That mushroom will now contain a meaningful amount of bioavailable vitamin D for up to a year after sun exposure. Shiitake, maitake, and portobello respond most dramatically. Add them to your meals 3 to 4 times per week. Sauté in olive oil or butter. Both provide the fat matrix that maximizes absorption. Combine them with your eggs or your fish, and you are addressing your D3 levels from 3 directions simultaneously. The practice: deliberate sunlight, before supplements, before any capsule, before any purchase. 10 to 20 minutes of direct midday sunlight on your forearms and the backs of your hands 3 to 4 times per week, not through a window. Glass blocks UVB radiation completely, not with sunscreen on those surfaces, direct, unfiltered, midday sun, arms bare. For people over 65, skin synthesis efficiency is reduced by about 75% compared to younger adults. But it has not stopped. The mechanism still works. It simply needs more consistent input to maintain what your body actually requires. This costs nothing. It requires no prescription. It has been available to every human being who has ever lived, and the majority of older adults right now are not doing it enough. What I have just given you, the 3 foods and the sunlight practice, is one piece of a much larger picture. In the 50 forgotten remedies the modern world wants you to ignore, I have documented 49 more, remedies that your great-grandmother may have known. That traditional medicine in West Africa, in the Caribbean, in communities across the world developed over centuries of careful observation, and that modern science is now, quietly, confirming we're right. Some are plants. Some are practices. Some are foods so ordinary you have walked past them in the market for years without knowing what they carry. Every remedy cross-referenced with current clinical research. Everyone is safe and accessible. This book does not ask you to abandon modern medicine. It asks you to reclaim what was always meant to be yours alongside it. The link is in the description below. And I want to be honest with you. This book is being offered for far less than its value. Because the people who need it most should not be priced out of it. But it has taken real time, real research, and real dedication to compile. If this channel has given you value today, that book is how you carry it home. The link is waiting for you below. I want to tell you about two people before we finish. The first, I will call him Desmond, 71, retired. Originally from Barbados, living in England for 30 years, where the sun, as you may know, is not generous. Desmond came with a list of symptoms accumulated over a decade. His doctor had addressed each one separately: a prescription for joint pain, a referral for fatigue, an antidepressant offered for the flat mood, an osteoporosis medication after a bone density scan, 4 separate interventions for what turned out to be one deficiency. His D3 level, when we finally tested it specifically, was 14 nanomoles per liter. Clinical sufficiency is 75. He was at less than 1/5 of what his body needed to function. 4 months after beginning the food protocol I have just described, Desmond's level reached 82. His joint pain had reduced by what he described as 70%. The antidepressant had been tapered and discontinued with his doctor's agreement. He told me he had not felt this way since his 40s. The second, I will call her Claudette, 67. A grandmother of 5, she had accepted the fog, the tiredness, the aching legs, as the price of having lived hard and worked hard. She told me her mother had been the same way at her age, her grandmother too. She had decided it was simply what the women in her family looked like past 65 within 6 weeks of making the changes I have described today. She called to tell me she had cleaned her entire house in one morning, something she had not done in 3 years. She had danced at her granddaughter's birthday party. She had laughed, she said, until she cried, not because a miracle happened, because a deficiency was corrected, because information reached her that should have reached her years earlier. That is why this channel exists, that is why this video exists, and that is why the 50 Forgotten Remedies exists, because Claudette's story should not be rare. It should be the standard before this video ends. Here is exactly what to do tomorrow morning, not in 6 months, not after your next appointment, tomorrow. Step 1, ask your doctor specifically for a 25-hydroxyvitamin D blood test, not the general vitamin panel, that specific test. Write it down before you go. If they decline, ask for the reason in writing. Step 2, this week add wild-caught fatty fish to 2 meals. Sardines are the most affordable and among the most concentrated. Cook them gently. Eat them with olive oil or avocado. Step 3, return the whole egg to your breakfast. 2 eggs, yolk included, every morning. Step 4, buy mushrooms, any variety. Place them gill side up in the strongest direct sunlight available for 20 minutes before you cook them, every time. Step 5, 10 to 20 minutes of direct midday sun on your forearms and hands, every day the weather allows. No glass, no sunscreen on those surfaces, just you, and the light your body has been waiting for. These 5 steps cost almost nothing. No prescription, no side effects. The research behind each one has been sitting in academic journals for decades, waiting for someone to translate it into plain language and deliver it to the people who need it most. That is what this channel is here to do. If you have watched this far, I want to ask you something. Think of one person in your life right now, a parent, a sibling, a friend, someone who has been told that their fatigue, their aching joints, their flat mood, their foggy thinking is just aging. Share this video with them today, not next week, today, before the thought leaves you, because the difference between Desmond at 14 and Desmond at 82 was not luck, it was not genetics. It was information, reaching him at the right moment, from the right place. You could be that moment for someone you love. If this video helped you, give it a like. It tells the algorithm to carry this to the people still sitting in waiting rooms, being handed a diagnosis of age, when what they actually have is something far more treatable. Subscribe to the Hidden Truths Life. Because this is one of many things they never told us, and we are only just beginning. The link to the 50 forgotten remedies the modern world wants you to ignore is in the description right now. Everything you have heard today is one chapter. There are 49 more waiting for you. Go get it.